When it first started, I already knew. First and foremost, I knew he haven't faced a southpaw some time now, and I think he only faced 2 southpaws in his whole career. So I was very confident. I trained my ass off for that fight. Like, I really trained. That's probably one of my hardest training camps. And I knew mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I was ready. And I knew he didn't train as hard as I did. In my heart, I'm like, he didn't go through what I went through. So if it becomes a dog fight, he's not going to win. I'm saying? It was my hardest training. I had a pre-camp. I ain't never had no pre-camp. We had a camp before camp. Well, I thought he was just, a fighter that's very consistent. Like, he consistent with his jab. He's consistent with going to the body. He's consistent with cutting the ring off. So, everything that he does was just basic, but it was consistent, and that's how he break a lot of his opponents down, because it's the constant pressure, it's the constant jabs, it's the constant wear and tear from the body and stuff like that. So, everything starts with the jab, everything ends with the jab, and so we knew coming into the fight, we're gonna take his jab away.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, as I told you guys, and now you heard the voice of undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford is now 40 wins, no loss and no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout, 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Terence Crawford is coming off the biggest win of his career, July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, where Terence Crawford defeated former unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who was widely considered to be top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, and Earl the Truth Spence Jr. Earl Spence Jr. is now 28 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, no draws, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Now, going into this fight, as you heard, I told you guys that Earl Spence is vanilla. He's basic, right? And many people got upset with me. But now you heard, and now you got to come in and listen. You heard what Terence Crawford said, agreeing with Blue Blood Sports TV, as I told you guys in the breakdown. I told you guys that Errol Spence is vanilla with his game plan, right? He's basic. He's like a torture method, is what I told you guys. If you hit the same spot consistently over and over again, you know how they say a drop of water can eventually go through your skull? If it hits the same spot consistently for a period of time, it'll soften up, loosen up the spot, and it'll start to drill its way through. And I told you guys, that's what Errol Spence is. He's consistent, right? He continues to hit the same mark over and over and over and over again until he, physically breaks down his opponents. And this is exactly what Terence Bud Crawford just told you. And he told you that again, as I told you guys, Blue Blood Sports TV once again told you guys, when I did the interview with Errol Spence, when I did the interview with Terence Crawford, y'all was so enamored talking about, Errol Spence ran down on Blue Blood. You didn't listen to the point. You didn't listen to the question. Now go back and listen. Because I had the most valid point and the most valid question in the entire buildup and breakdown of this fight. And y'all know I don't even like to toot my own horn. But if you paid attention and listened, you would have understood what I was talking about. I asked Errol Spence about the southpaw stance, and what y'all took from it was Errol Spence ran down on me. Did y'all listen to Errol Spence's response when I said southpaws don't like to fight southpaws, right? And I asked Errol Spence about Terence Crawford's southpaw stance. Then I did the interview with Terence Crawford, and I asked Terence Crawford about his southpaw stance. What gives him an advantage and what doesn't give him an advantage? I asked them both the same day about the southpaw stance. Well, what y'all talked from that day was that Errol Spence questioned me and said, why did I switch up on him? But y'all ain't listen to the point. And then he doubled back and answered the question. Now listen to what Terence Crawford had to say, right? Once again, Terence Crawford stated this.
When it first started, I already knew. First and foremost, I knew he haven't faced a southpaw some time now, and I think he only faced 2 southpaws in his whole career,
So I asked Errol Spence and I asked Terence Crawford about the southpaw stance and what makes a southpaw not comfortable fighting another southpaw, and how does Errol Spence adjust to fighting a southpaw, and how does Terence Crawford adjust to fighting a natural southpaw in Errol Spence. And look at Terence Crawford's face when I asked him that, because he knew I was on to something, and he said, well, we'll just have to see. I said, are you going to switch? Are you predominantly a southpaw now? He's a southpaw. Southpaws don't like to fight other southpaws, right? And Terence Crawford said, you're just going to have to see the night of the fight. Errol Spence gave an in-depth breakdown of fighting the southpaws, because Errol Spence went back and said, the problem is there's just not enough southpaws to really engage enough information and get comfortable fighting southpaws. That's why southpaws have the advantage. Go back and look at my interview. Don't get distracted by the fact that Errol Spence said, why did you switch up on me? Go back and listen to my question and listen to Errol Spence's response and his answer. See, y'all got distracted with the nonsense instead of listening to what I was actually saying and what they was actually saying. And so Terence Crawford said he only fought 2 southpaws in his whole career. He's not comfortable with southpaws. And as I told you guys, his game plan and his style is vanilla. But it's consistent. So listen what Terence Crawford said.
I was very confident. I trained my ass off for that fight. Like, I really trained. That's probably one of my hardest training camps. And I knew mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, I was ready.
Now, I told y'all that Terence Crawford is already having another training camp. And I told you Terence Crawford is training at the UFC gym. He's already getting prepared for Errol Spence, but y'all told me the fight wasn't announced.
And I knew he didn't train as hard as I did. In my heart, I'm like, he.
Now, there's reports that Errol Spence was weighing 190 pounds and had to come down from 190 pounds to 147 pounds. That's 53 pounds. So when Terence Crawford is saying he didn't train as hard as I did, well, maybe that's true. If that was true, that Errol Spence had to come down from 190 pounds, that was irresponsible on the part of Errol Spence.
And go through what I went through. So if it becomes a dog fight, he's not going to win. I'm saying it was my hardest training.
Now, I did say if it became a dogfight, I favor Errol Spence to win. I was wrong in that aspect, but it didn't really turn out to be a dogfight because it was a one-sided domination. But Terence Crawford said if it came down to a dogfight, I would win. I thought that if it came down to a dogfight, that would be a mistake for Terence Crawford to engage in such, because Errol Spence, I had him as the bigger, stronger guy, but I was wrong.
I had a pre-camp. I ain't never had no pre-camp. We had a camp before camp. Well, I thought he was just, a fighter that's very consistent. Like, he's consistent with his jab. He's consistent with going to the body. He's consistent with cutting the ring off. So, everything that he does.
So what did I tell you? I said Errol Spence is fundamentally sound and he's very consistent. I told y'all all of this before Terence Crawford told you.
It was just basic, but it was consistent, and that's how you break.
Basic but consistent. I said vanilla is another form of basic, and he's consistent.
A lot of his opponents down because it's the constant pressure, it's the constant jabs, it's the constant wear and tear from the body and stuff like that. So, everything starts with the jab. Everything ends with the jab. And so we knew coming into the fight, we're going to take his jab away.
Now, I was completely incorrect with my assessment because I thought that Terence Crawford would succumb to the pressure, the physical nature of Errol Spence, and the consistency, and Terence Crawford would make mistakes. I was completely wrong in that aspect. But with everything else, I told y'all I was spot on, and you hear Terence Crawford agree with me. And I told you initially, I thought Terence Crawford had all the tools in the toolbox to nullify and limit Errol Spence. And I initially had that choice, and I went away from it. But nonetheless, as I told you guys, so we're going to see what happens at 154 in this rematch. So let's see if Errol Spence makes adjustments. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV. All in one word. I'm gone. Peace.